Welcome back to another empowering episode of Journey to Success. I'm Emily Carter, your host, and today we're tackling a topic that's critical for anyone striving to achieve their dreams: mastering time management. Our guest is someone who's transformed the way people approach their days. Laura Mitchell, a productivity expert, best-selling author, and keynote speaker who's helped thousands maximize their time to live fuller, more purposeful lives. Laura, it's an absolute privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you, Emily. I'm genuinely excited to be here and dive into a subject that's not just about schedules, but about crafting a life you love.
I'm thrilled to hear your insights. Time is something we all have in equal measure, yet it often feels like it slips away. Laura, let's start broad. Why is effective time management so essential for success, and how does it shape our lives?
That's a brilliant question, Emily, and it really captures why I'm so passionate about this topic. Time is our most finite resource. Unlike money or opportunities, you can't earn more of it. Effective time management isn't just about squeezing more tasks into your day. It's about prioritizing what truly matters, so you can achieve your goals without burning out. It's the difference between living reactively, chasing every distraction, and living intentionally with purpose and clarity. I think of someone like Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers, who was a master of time. Franklin was a printer, inventor, diplomat, and writer, yet he accomplished all this by meticulously planning his days. He famously asked himself each morning, "What good shall I do today?" And each evening, "What good have I done?" That simple habit kept him focused on impact. Early in my own career, I was a project manager in Boston, constantly overwhelmed by deadlines and emails. I felt like I was drowning in tasks. But when I started studying time management, inspired by Franklin's discipline, everything shifted. My productivity soared, my stress plummeted, and I found time to pursue my passion for coaching. Time management doesn't just help you do more, it helps you be more.
That's such a powerful perspective, Laura. Time management as a way to live intentionally. You mentioned feeling overwhelmed early on. Can you walk us through the first steps someone can take to start managing their time better, especially if they're feeling swamped?
Absolutely, Emily. The first step is to gain clarity on your priorities. Without knowing what matters most, you're just reacting to whatever comes your way. I recommend a simple exercise called the Priority Matrix, inspired by Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Covey's matrix divides tasks into 4 quadrants: urgent and important, important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and neither. Focus on the important but not urgent quadrant, things like planning, learning, or relationships, because those drive long-term success. When I was drowning in my project management role, I used this matrix. I realized I was spending hours on urgent but low-value tasks like answering non-critical emails, while neglecting strategic planning, which was my real job. I started blocking out an hour each morning for high-priority work before checking my inbox. Within weeks, my projects were ahead of schedule, and I earned a promotion. Covey's approach taught me that clarity is the foundation of time management. Another step is to start small with time blocking. This is a technique Elon Musk uses to juggle Tesla, SpaceX, and his other ventures. Musk reportedly schedules his day in 5-minute increments to stay hyper-focused. You don't need to be that extreme, but try blocking 25-minute chunks, known as the Pomodoro technique, for deep work, followed by 5-minute breaks. I coached a client named Jessica, a freelance writer who felt she never had enough time. She was juggling client deadlines and parenting, always frazzled. We implemented 25-minute writing sprints, and she doubled her output without working longer hours. Small, deliberate changes compound into massive results.
I love the practicality of those steps, Laura. The priority matrix and time blocking sound like game changers. And referencing Elon Musk's 5-minute increments. Wow, that's intense. But what about when life gets chaotic and sticking to a plan feels impossible? How do you manage time under pressure?
Oh, Emily, chaos is where time management is tested. When life throws curveballs, deadlines pile up, kids get sick, or unexpected crises hit, flexibility and resilience are key. One tool I swear by is the 80-20 rule, or Pareto principle, which says 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Focus on the few tasks that drive the most impact. I learned this from Richard Branson, the Virgin Group founder, who's known for tackling massive projects while sailing or kite surfing. Branson prioritizes high-leverage activities, like vision setting or team building, and delegates the rest. During a chaotic period when I was launching my coaching business while managing a full-time job, I used the 80-20 rule to focus on creating my signature course, which became my biggest revenue driver, while outsourcing smaller tasks like scheduling. Another strategy is to build buffers. Life is unpredictable, so don't pack your schedule to the brim. Arianna Huffington, founder of the Huffington Post, schedules white space in her day for reflection or unexpected issues. I adopted this after a week when back-to-back meetings left me exhausted and unprepared for a client emergency. Now, I leave 15-minute gaps between commitments, which gives me breathing room. I taught this to a client named Michael, a startup founder who was always putting out fires. He started buffering his calendar, and it transformed his leadership. His team noticed he was calmer and more strategic, landing them a major investor. Finally, under pressure, say no gracefully. Warren Buffett once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." I used to overcommit, saying yes to every lunch invite or side project, until I realized it diluted my focus. Now I politely decline with, "That sounds wonderful, but I'm prioritizing a few key projects right now." It's liberating and keeps you aligned with your goals.
Those are such actionable tips, Laura. Saying no like Warren Buffett. That's a skill I need to practice. You've mentioned incredible figures like Covey, Musk, Branson, and Huffington. Are there other famous examples that inspire your approach to time management?
Oh, absolutely, Emily. The world is full of time management trailblazers whose habits we can learn from. Take Indra Nooyi, former PepsiCo CEO, who balanced leading a global company with raising 2 daughters. Nooyi was known for waking at 4 a.m. to plan her day, prioritizing family breakfasts and strategic meetings while delegating operational details. She once said, "You have to be ruthless about what you spend your time on." Her discipline inspired me to carve out morning rituals, like journaling my top 3 goals each day, which keeps me grounded no matter how busy life gets. Another is Leonardo da Vinci, the ultimate Renaissance man. Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa, designed inventions, and studied anatomy, all by managing his time with intense focus. He kept detailed notebooks, planning tasks and reflecting on progress, which I emulate through weekly reviews. I coached a client named Sarah, an artist who felt her creative time was eaten by admin work. We studied Da Vinci's method, and she started logging her painting hours, dedicating mornings to her art. Her first gallery show sold out, proving focus creates breakthroughs. Then there's Serena Williams, whose tennis dominance came from structured training schedules. Even as a mom and entrepreneur, Serena prioritizes her time, saying, "I don't have time to waste." I worked with a single parent named David, a teacher who struggled to balance grading and family. Inspired by Serena, he batched grading into focused evening blocks, freeing weekends for his kids. His stress dropped and he earned Teacher of the Year. These icons show that time management isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what counts.
Those stories are so inspiring, Laura. Nooyi, Da Vinci, Serena, they all show how time management fuels excellence. What about common pitfalls? Are there mistakes people make that sabotage their efforts to manage time well?
Great question, Emily, because pitfalls are where many of us stumble. One big mistake is multitasking. It feels productive, but studies show it reduces efficiency by up to 40%. I learned this from Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, who advocates single-tasking for deep focus. Early on, I'd write emails while on calls thinking I was saving time, but I'd miss key details, doubling my work later. Now, I give each task my full attention like Ferriss suggests, and my output is higher quality. Another trap is over-planning. Some people create rigid schedules that collapse at the first disruption. Sheryl Sandberg, former Meta COO, balances structure with flexibility, adjusting her day as needed while keeping core priorities intact. I coached a client named Olivia, a nurse who planned every minute but felt defeated when emergencies arose. We adopted Sandberg's approach, setting 3 non-negotiable tasks daily: patient care, team check-ins, self-care, while leaving room for surprises. Olivia's morale soared, and she was promoted to head nurse. Finally, neglecting rest is a silent killer of productivity. Jeff Bezos, Amazon's founder, prioritizes 8 hours of sleep, saying it sharpens his decision-making. I used to pull all-nighters thinking it made me a hero until burnout hit. Now I schedule downtime like Bezos and it's revolutionized my energy. Rest isn't laziness, it's strategy. Avoiding these pitfalls, multitasking, overplanning, skipping rest, sets you up for sustainable success.
That's such a wake-up call, Laura. I'm guilty of multitasking myself. Your point about rest as strategy really hits home, especially with Bezos backing it up. How do we sustain great time management habits over the long haul, especially when motivation dips?
Sustaining time management is like running a marathon. It requires consistency, adaptability, and self-compassion. One key is to anchor habits to routines. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, says habits stick when tied to existing behaviors. I journal my priorities right after my morning coffee, making it automatic. Clear's method helped me coach a client named Ethan, a lawyer who kept forgetting to plan his week. He tied planning to his Sunday breakfast, and now it's second nature, boosting his case wins. Another strategy is weekly reflection. Every Sunday I review what worked, what didn't, and adjust. This mirrors Bill Gates' Think Weeks, where he steps back to strategize. I taught this to a client named Rachel, a small business owner whose days felt chaotic. She started weekly reviews, spotting time wasters like long meetings, and streamlined her operations, doubling her revenue. Reflection keeps you aligned. Also, gamify your progress. I learned this from Tony Robbins, who uses rewards to stay motivated. I set mini goals like finishing a project early and treat myself to a movie or dessert. I worked with a student named Chris, who procrastinated on studying. We gamified his schedule, earning game time for completed chapters. He aced his exams and now runs a study group. Finally, revisit your why. When motivation fades, remind yourself why you're managing time. Maybe it's family, freedom, or impact. Michelle Obama's focus on her family's well-being drives her discipline. That why is your North Star, guiding you through tough days.
Those are such vibrant strategies, Laura. Gamifying tasks like Tony Robbins and anchoring habits like James Clear. I'm inspired to try them all. As we close, what's one final piece of advice for listeners ready to take charge of their time today?
My biggest advice is to start with one intentional choice. Time management isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Think of J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter as a single mom by carving out writing hours despite chaos. She didn't wait for ideal conditions, she acted. For me, it started with that 1-hour morning block which changed my career. One last story. I coached a dad named Brian, a chef who felt trapped by long restaurant hours, missing time with his daughter. He feared changing his schedule would tank his career. We looked at Gordon Ramsay, who balances Michelin star kitchens with family by ruthlessly prioritizing. Brian negotiated one night off weekly, using it for daddy-daughter dates, and found his creativity spiked, earning a promotion. If Brian can reclaim his time, so can you. Pick one task today, plan it, do it, own it. Your future self will thank you.
What a perfect way to wrap up, Laura. Brian's story, alongside giants like Rowling and Ramsay, shows time management is for everyone. Thank you for sharing such wisdom and practical tools. I know our listeners are ready to make every moment count.
Thank you, Emily, and to all the listeners. I hope you feel empowered to shape your time and your life with purpose.
And that's it for today's episode of Journey to Success. If this episode lit a spark for you, and I'm betting it did, please hit that subscribe button to never miss a dose of inspiration. Share this with someone who needs to tame their schedule, and join us next time for more strategies to fuel your journey. Until then, make every second count.